Welcome to Love and Tears. If this story touches your emotions, don't forget to leave a like, share your feelings in the comments section, and subscribe to the channel so we have more motivation to continue telling stories that touch people's hearts. I will never forget that night, the night everything began to change. The strange thing is, it started so normally. It was a chilly fall evening, leaves gently swirling around the driveway as I stepped out onto the porch. My husband Daniel was locking the door behind him, the key clicking softly in the quiet air. We were headed to a dinner party, an annual event at his boss, Nathan Cross's house. Daniel said it was an informal gathering, like a year-end celebration with colleagues. But I had a strange feeling, a vague feeling I couldn't quite place. "Are you sure this dress isn't too much?" I asked, running my hand through the soft fabric of the navy blue dress. It hugged my body just enough to make me feel confident, yet still modest and elegant. Daniel smiled, wrapping his arms around my waist. "You're absolutely beautiful, Lena. Trust me." The car rolled slowly down the yellow-lit street. I looked out the window, feeling a mixture of excitement and anxiety. Daniel had just been promoted, and this dinner was clearly more than just a social affair. I knew we needed to make a good impression. Nathan Cross's house looked like it had come straight out of an architectural magazine. A large lawn, warm light pouring in from tall windows. Nathan personally greeted him, shook Daniel's hand, and then turned to me with a friendly look. "Lena, it's great to finally meet you," he said with a genuine smile. Tall with silver hair, confident and polite, Nathan made me feel surprisingly comfortable. "I've heard Daniel talk about you a lot," he continued, and I couldn't help but smile, my cheeks flushing slightly. "Thank you. It's nice to meet you." Inside, laughter and soft music filled the air. The interior was tastefully decorated, but not too distant candles flickering on the tables, fragrant fresh flowers, wine glasses sparkling under the lights. Nathan, there was something about him that drew people in. He really listened, spoke openly and engagingly. A few times, I felt his eyes linger on me, not in an impolite way, but as if he was observing something deeper. Maybe I was imagining it. After dinner, Daniel was drawn into a lively conversation with his colleagues across the living room. I quietly walked out into the backyard, where the peaceful garden was bathed in moonlight, the scent of jasmine mixed with the scent of dried autumn leaves. I didn't realize Nathan had stepped out behind me until he said softly behind me, "It's quiet here, isn't it?" I turned around a little surprised, but his gentle gaze made me relax immediately. "Yes," I smiled, leaning slightly against the railing. "Your house is beautiful. Thank you," he said, stepping a little closer, but still keeping a respectful distance. "Lena, if I may say so, you seem to enjoy deep conversations rather than superficial small talk." I laughed, a little surprised by the subtlety. "I guess so." He thought for a moment, then asked, his voice gentle, "Can I ask you something?" I nodded, my curiosity beginning to rise. "You and Daniel seem very close," he said, looking toward the brightly lit house. "How have you maintained that connection after all these years?" The question took me by surprise. Not because it was so personal, but because It was so sincere that I was caught off guard. After a few seconds, I answered honestly, "It's not easy, Nathan. But we learn to communicate honestly, listen to each other, and constantly discover new things about each other. Maybe it's because we accept change together that we're still here." Nathan was silent for a moment, as if he was really thinking. Then he nodded, a slight smile appearing. "It's special, very rare." The space between us became quiet, but not awkward. Finally, he looked down at the ground, smiling slightly. "Sorry if I asked a bit personal." "No," I replied quickly, feeling a little warm. "Actually, I feel very comfortable. People usually just talk about social things." What do you think about this conversation between Lena and Nathan? Have you ever met someone who surprised you with such subtlety? Leave a comment, and if you made it this far, drop it to let us know you're with Love and Tears. If you're reading this far, don't forget to like to support us, share your thoughts below, and subscribe so you don't miss the next part of the story. Nathan's smile softened. He took a deep breath, as if gathering his courage. "I want to suggest something." He began, his voice cautious, "but please know that it's completely respectful. If it makes you uncomfortable, just say so and I'll never bring it up again." Nathan's seriousness made my heart beat faster. There was something sincere in his eyes and voice. I felt both nervous and curious. "What is it?" I asked softly, almost holding my breath. He glanced back at the house, making sure we were alone. "I've noticed something," he said. "Since Daniel and you went through a rough patch in your marriage, I've noticed that Daniel has become more confident and optimistic at work. You're clearly an extraordinary woman, a deep understanding of relationships." I tilted my head, confused but attentive. "I need your help with something personal." His voice was sincere, and I began to understand that this was no ordinary request. "Help with what?" specifically, I asked. Nathan was silent for a few seconds, choosing his words carefully. "I've had trouble opening up," he admitted, his voice laced with hurt. "My relationships have always been superficial. I've always craved deep, genuine connection. I see that in you. I think you can help me understand what true emotional connection is." I was stunned. But then I looked into his eyes and understood that Nathan meant nothing wrong. He was looking for guidance, help, something purer. He saw my silence and continued softly. "I know this may seem strange. I don't want to pressure you, but I really respect you, Lena. And I think if anyone can help me figure this out, it's you." I felt a wave of emotion roll through my mind. His offer was strange, unexpected, and not self-serving. Part of me felt touched, not by a man looking for affection, but by a soul searching for what connection really meant. I took a breath and replied softly, "Nathan, your honesty means a lot. Let's talk about this later in private. I want to hear more about what you're feeling. Maybe I can help." He let out a sigh of relief. The smile returned to his face, soft and grateful. "Thank you, Lena, I really do." Under the dim moonlight, the atmosphere between us gradually changed, no longer awkward, but something quiet, new. like a bond had just been quietly formed. I returned to the party, my mind still reeling with a series of unanswered questions. Daniel was still chatting happily with his colleagues, his laughter echoing in the cozy room. He turned to me, his eyes affectionate. "Is everything okay?" I nodded, smiling. "It's okay. Nathan and I just talked a little. Something quite special. I'll tell you later." Daniel held my hand, his gaze unquestioning, that kind of trust I always cherished. The party began to end. Guests gradually left, handshakes, good wishes, passing by like a late-night breeze. From the other side of the room, Nathan caught my eyes again. We didn't say anything, just nodded slightly. But I knew, and he knew, that the conversation was just the beginning. As Daniel and I were about to leave, Nathan walked over. His face was calmer than usual. He put his hand on Daniel's shoulder in a friendly manner, smiling. "Thank you both for coming. Daniel, you're lucky to have Lena." Daniel laughed, pulling me a little closer, I know. Then Nathan turned to me, his voice as light as a breeze. "Lena, can you lend me a few minutes before I leave? There's something I want to say quickly." My heart suddenly started beating faster again. I nodded, trying to keep my composure. Daniel tactfully withdrew, saying he would wait for me at the door. Nathan led me to a quiet corner away from the lights and the final goodbyes. His voice was quiet, a little apologetic. "Lena, I didn't mean to make you feel awkward. What do you think of Nathan's unexpected proposal? Have you ever met someone who made you rethink how you emotionally connect with others? Share in the comments, and if you found your heart fluttering a little while reading this, leave it to let us know. You're sticking with the story until the end. If you've ever had a conversation that made you look at yourself, share it in the comments. And if you're listening to this story, leave us so we know you're here with love and tears." Nathan looked at me, his eyes hesitant and sincere. "If I made you uncomfortable that night, I'm so sorry." I shook my head immediately, sincerely reassuring him. "No, Nathan, I was just surprised, but in a good way. Your candor really made me appreciate it." He let out a sigh of relief, as if he'd just let go of a burden. "I'm glad to hear that." I hesitated for a moment, then asked almost in a whisper, "But why me?" He hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "Because there's something about you, the sincerity, the calm that I rarely see. I've watched from afar, Lena. You're so grounded. And after seeing how you affected Daniel, I thought maybe you can help me understand myself better." I stood still, listening to my heart respond to what he had just said. There was no flirtation in his eyes, no crossing of boundaries, just a quiet plea for help from a man used to living behind invisible walls. "I don't want to live behind those walls forever." He continued, his eyes looking far away. "I want to learn how to build a real connection." His words touched a deep place inside me. I remembered the early days with Daniel, the times I'd kept quiet for fear of being hurt, for not knowing how to express my true feelings. It had taken us years to learn to truly listen to each other. "I know how it feels," I said softly. I used to be afraid to be honest about my feelings. It was like jumping into a bottomless pit. But it was always worth it. Nathan paused for a moment, his eyes shining with emotion. That courage is what I always wished I had." "I have it," I replied softly. I'm showing it right now. There was a warm silence between us, filled with unspoken understanding. Finally, Nathan spoke slowly. If you don't mind, I'd like to talk more, in a more relaxed setting, not as formal as that party. I'd like to hear your perspective, honest and uninhibited. I promise to always respect and keep it confidential. I felt my heart pounding, not from fear, but because the sincerity was so clear. He wasn't asking for affection. He was asking for guidance. I thought for a moment and nodded. Okay, let's make time. I really want to help. He relaxed, giving me a small smile that I knew was genuine. Thank you, Lena. You have no idea how much this means. We parted that night with a silent understanding. No promises, just trusting eyes. On the way home, Daniel glanced at me, his smile sparkling with mischief. So, are you going to let me guess? Or tell me what just happened? I laughed, reaching out to take his hand. Richard, no, Nathan, opened up to me about something very personal. He felt lonely, wanted to learn how to truly connect, but didn't know where to start. Daniel mused, squeezing my hand gently. I understand. He's always been so reserved, especially when it comes to personal matters. But why you? I said honestly. Maybe because you're not a permanent part of his life. It's easier to open up to someone on the outside. Daniel nodded, his eyes darkening. Then he chose the right person. The days that followed passed quietly. But Nathan's words never left my mind. It wasn't until almost a week later, just as dusk was falling, that I received a text from him. Lena, can you meet me tomorrow night at Riverside Park just for a walk? Around 7? I read the words over and over again. A gentle silence spread through my heart. Without hesitation, I agreed. The next day I arrived early. Riverside Park was quiet and breathtakingly beautiful. The trees cast shadows over the walkways, their leaves rustling in the cool autumn breeze. The streetlights glowed dimly, reflecting on the sparkling water. Nathan arrived not long after. Jeans a casual sweater, he looked closer than ever. Thanks for coming, he said softly, walking steadily beside me. I was worried. You'd change your mind. Of course not. I smiled, looking at him. I promised to help. We walked together under the fading dusk sky. The first stars appeared. Our conversation became light and natural, and then turned into a heartfelt exchange. Nathan talked about his past, about the pressures of success, and the cost of keeping an emotional distance. About the fear that, in the end, he would never truly understand anyone. Have you ever struggled to truly connect with someone? Share your feelings, because who knows, your story might help someone else find themselves. And if you're with Nathan and Lena at this point, drop the next part of the story that is touching thousands of hearts on Love and Tears. If you're reading this far, please leave in the comments section to let us know you are listening, feeling, and accompanying every beat of this story. Ethan's sincerity touched me deeply. In response, I also shared with him very personal memories, both the hurts and the moments when I had conquered myself. Together, we reached a level of connection that few people dare to reach, where understanding and trust are woven from the most genuine things. As we both stopped by an old wooden bench overlooking the quiet river, the gentle chirping of crickets mixed with the rustling of leaves in the wind. I suddenly realized the air seemed to stop. Under the silver moonlight, Ethan's eyes shone with a strange peace. He turned his voice a whisper in the night. I don't remember the last time I felt this comfortable talking to someone. I smiled, my heart sinking with emotion. It's easy, Ethan. When you feel safe, anything can begin. He looked at me, a look that held no calculation, and said softly, "Thank you for making me feel that way. Tonight really meant more than I thought." We didn't need more words. We just sat next to each other in silence, but no longer distant. I no longer feared anything. Ethan's presence was not a threat to my marriage, but a journey of growing up, of learning to open up properly, and of the connections that life sometimes places at the most unexpected times. But I had no idea that this connection was about to change everything. In the weeks that followed, Ethan and I became more intimate. Each conversation seemed to peel back another layer of protection, allowing us to truly see each other. Ethan became more comfortable talking about our feelings, asking questions that few men had ever asked me. How do I listen to someone I love without judging them? Is intimacy more than just physical? I could tell he was learning to be a better man, and I appreciated that. My husband David was completely supportive of our friendship. He trusted me, and I trusted myself, but there was one thing neither Ethan nor I dared to say out loud. That emotional connection, though it never crossed the line, was too close to it. Every night we talked, every time our eyes met for longer than usual. We could feel it. We both kept ourselves in our comfort zone. But that safe zone is becoming increasingly fragile. Then one early winter evening, as the first frost crept across the roof, David announced softly, "I have to fly away for 2 days. I'll be back on Thursday." He kissed me lightly on the forehead as he packed his suitcase. "Promise you'll be okay without me?" I laughed, pushing his shoulder lightly as if teasing him. "It's only 2 days. I'll be fine." He smiled, his eyes warm. "Just know if you need anything, call me. Anytime." I nodded. But as the door closed behind David, a little emptiness spread through me. Softly, but enough to make me pause for a moment. The next evening, as dusk was fading and darkness was falling, my phone rang. It was Ethan. "Are you free tonight? There's something I really want to share." It's best to say it in person. "Would you like to go out to dinner?" I hesitated, my heart sank, but I texted back, "I'm free. What time do you want to meet?" We arranged to meet at a small, quiet restaurant on the edge of town. Ethan was already there when I arrived. The atmosphere in the restaurant was warm, the soft yellow light reflecting off his face. "You look beautiful tonight, Sophie," he said as I walked to the table. I nodded. "Thank you, it feels something is changing." Dinner went smoothly, but both of us seemed cautious. Ethan seemed flustered, his eyes darting back and forth from the window to me, as if pondering something. "Ethan, are you okay?" I asked, my voice gentle. "It seems like I have something to say." He nodded, then took a deep breath, his hand tightening around the glass of water. "Sophie, I don't know what you'll think, but I have to say it." I felt my heart skip a beat. I nodded. "Just say it, I'm listening." He looked at me for a long time. Then he said, "These past few months, This friendship has changed me. You've made me feel things I thought I'd never feel again." He swallowed, then continued. "I didn't mean to, but the feelings I have for you, it's not friendship anymore. How do you think Sophie should react? Leave a comment below with your thoughts. Can sincere but ill-timed feelings hold their original limits? Stay tuned to Love and Tears so you don't miss the next part, where things get even more complicated and emotional than ever. You're watching Love and Tears, where broken hearts find the light of love again. If you're accompanying us to this end, leave a below to let us know you feel this deep feeling too. I poured more coffee into my favorite cup, the steam rising gently, like the thoughts still lingering in my heart. When I asked, my heart skipped a beat in my chest. Liam smiled warmly. "Daniel, he's back." Liam said, his voice soft, as if he was mentioning an old friend he still cherished. He invited us to dinner tomorrow night, said he missed our old conversations and wanted us both to come. I held my breath involuntarily. Emotions surged like a strange wind, excitement, confusion, and a little bit of anticipation. "What do you think?" I asked, my eyes quietly observing Liam. He sat down next to me, shrugging lightly. "Honestly, I'm glad. I miss Daniel, and I think the conversations you had with him were really helpful. He sounds different now, calmer, more thoughtful." I smiled, relieved and grateful for Liam's unwavering faith in me. "Well, let's go," I said. "It'll be good to see him again." The next evening, we stood in front of Daniel's familiar house. It felt like I'd gone back to the first party we'd ever held here. But this time, there was something different, more mature, warmer. Daniel greeted us with a genuine smile, and when our eyes met, a quiet understanding passed through us, unspoken. The dinner was filled with laughter, old stories, but underneath were words left unsaid, emotions quietly closed. Daniel had changed, more open, calm, and confident. Seeing that made my heart flutter, as if it were confirmation that the connection between him and I, complicated as it once was not meaningless. As Liam left the table to answer a work call, Daniel turned to me, the light from the window filling the air with the scent of night flowers. "Clara," he called softly, his eyes strangely sincere. "Seeing you and Liam so happy tonight, it really makes me grateful. I want you to know that our friendship has taught me the most valuable lessons. You have shown me what it means to be brave, to love, to respect, and to let go." I felt a lump in my throat, touched but relieved. "I am so proud of you, Daniel," I whispered. "You have changed so much, in a way that others admire." Daniel nodded, his eyes shining with a rare calm. "Thanks to you. You taught me that true love is selfless, wanting the other person to be happy, even if that happiness doesn't include you." Liam turned back, smiling warmly. He didn't ask anything, just felt the peace between Daniel and me. Now there was only pure appreciation. Before leaving, Daniel touched my arm lightly, his eyes affectionate, his voice soft as the night wind. "Thank you, Clara," he said, "for everything." I took his hand gently. No more words were needed. We understood that this journey had helped us both grow. "I wish you happiness, Daniel. You deserve it. He nodded slowly, his eyes sparkling peacefully. On the way back, Liam was silent for a moment, then took my hand gently. He's really changed, he said. And I know you're the one who made it happen. My tears welled up. He's changed me too. Thanks to Daniel, I know how lucky I am to have you. Liam smiled softly, his eyes filled with love. We built something wonderful, right? Yes, I whispered. More wonderful than I could have ever dreamed. That night, standing on the porch under the gentle moonlight, I thought about it all. The connection I had with Daniel, which had once made my heart flutter, turned out to be a priceless gift. Not because of love, but because it helped me understand what limits were, what courage was, what love was without possession. Love is not always about being there. It is about blessing in silence, being grateful for having each other. If you have ever had someone like Daniel in your life, someone who came and left, but left you with a profound lesson, please leave a comment with the word "thank you" so we can share it. Because sometimes the person who makes you grow the most is not the person you live with, but the person you learn to let go of. Thank you for accompanying love and tears throughout this emotional journey. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heart-touching stories. And if you're here, don't forget to leave an icon. We're always waiting to read your sharing.